Hey, and welcome back to Animation Study Group, the series where I, a beginner in animation, encourage you to follow along as we work our way through this, the Animator Survival Kit by Richard Williams. This is episode 12, and today I'm going to be running through an exercise about impact. Between this episode and the last, there's been a lot of information in the book. There have been some notes on in-betweening, some notes on arcs of motion, and some notes on maintaining consistency of volume in shape. All of those notes are really valuable and worth your time, but for this video series, I'm only really focusing on the sections of the book that I can imagine turning into exercises like this one. In this exercise, I'm going to animate a character that is careening toward a cliff and ultimately smacks right into it. The book shows you 3 different steps to take to exaggerate that impact to varying degrees. So what I'm going to do is replicate those 3 examples with a character that's just kind of basic shapes so that we can see the difference in how the impact looks. Then I'm going to take the final example, the most exaggerated impact, and I'll spruce that up as kind of a final render for this exercise. So what you're about to see is the usual sped up footage of me working my way through those 3 steps, and then afterward I'll let it loop and talk about what we're seeing on the screen. So let's get into it. So what you saw there was me laying out my thumbnail sketches and drawing the 3 examples over the top of them. This action is pretty fast, so instead of letting this animation loop over and over again, I figure I'll take you through each example and go frame by frame to talk through them. First, we have kind of the most basic animation. The character takes 5 frames to get over to the cliff, and then you've got the splat. In between the flight and the impact, there isn't an in-between to make that action seem faster. So we've got the character working its way over to the cliff and splat. The second example actually increases the length of the animation by 1 frame. You have one in between at frame 6 where the character's head just about touches the cliff and then splat. So we've got our character working its way over and then splat. You have the head pretty much in the same position while the character's in flight and then suddenly impact. This third and final example is what the book says is going to give us the most exaggerated impact. We're back to the original length of animation that we had in the first example, but we're stretching out frame 5, so we get the point in example 2 where the character's face is right up against the point of impact before splat. We're actually covering that distance in a shorter amount of time. That looks something like this. So we're moving along, stretched out, and splat. Here's what they all look like going at the same time. Now I'm going to take that third example and just have some fun, mess around with it, and see what I end up with at the end. So stick around and see how this looks when I'm finished with it. I'll see you on the other side. All right, and here's the end result. I'm pretty happy with this one. I had a lot of fun working on it, and I'm enjoying watching it too, so I think that's a sign of some time well spent. I decided to make the character into a rooster. I kind of imagine this animation having an intro where he sets himself up into some kind of contraption to launch himself out and try to fly and fail. But like I said a couple videos ago, I'm trying to keep these simple and concise and not give myself too much work to put them together. Just try to learn and progress. And I think I saved myself a lot of headache by keeping this very simple. I also didn't record this process, but I slapped together some basic background. I didn't take too much time to try to make it look pretty, but what I really wanted were layers so that I could move them at different rates and kind of give the forest some depth. I think that came out pretty cool. And I also painted the character and added some shadow where I think the trees would block the light as it moves through the woods. But that's really about it. It was cool to take a really basic example, add some detail, and end up with something that I'm pretty happy with. So I hope you're enjoying these as much as I am, and I hope you're learning and progressing out there as well. As always, thanks for tuning in, and until next time, take care.